Today's been so much fun. I've got to chat with a whole heap of guys. I've got to listen to their story. I've asked a few questions.
The challenge that I had put before me, son, was to go out and ring your mother, my wife, and I didn't hear the other bit. And anyway, I go out and challenge to ring her up and say that I love her, and I did on your phone, so you're paying for it.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I probably haven't told your mum that for probably a couple of months, but we have a kiss in the morning when we go to work.
One thing I'd say is it's not just about your emotions and how you feel. It's about making a commitment. Look, I'm going to love this person. It's not about how I feel on any given day. It's about knowing I've made a commitment to this person. We're going to honour that, and we're going to go the journey.
Marriage is not an easy feat by a long shot. It's tough, but you got to work through it. You just got to work through it.
What I love about my wife, she is so giving, and she is so forgiving in our relationship, and she has such an understanding of me, and has went through the storm with me, and is still there today.
I've been married twice. I've made a real bad job of it for twice, and now I'm urging you to not make the same mistakes I did. When I was growing up, the word sex or any sort of relationship problems or issues were never ever talked about. So when I left home at 16, I was completely and utterly naive. I knew nothing about women, I knew nothing about sex.
The fascinating thing was that Chris and I were just the two of us. And one of the things I started doing was doing the ironing and the vacuuming in the house. And I just started doing it. And Chris said to me one day, she said, "Why are you ironing?" She said, "I've always liked ironing." I said, "You didn't tell me that. You didn't tell me you liked ironing." I said, "I do, I like ironing." And I do it because I can watch TV and talk at the same time. It's just one of the things I can do. Well, and she said, "Well, why didn't you tell me that 20 years ago? I would have loved you to do the ironing for me 20 years ago when I needed somebody to do the ironing."
You have to get to know your wife as a friend, and then you'll have a friend for life.
They have to say I love you to your wife and your children. I've been through situations, and I was lucky enough to say I love you to my son who passed away while I was at work. And I think every man should say I love you to his wife and children more than once a day. Say it in the morning, say it at night. I think that's the best thing you could do to help your marriage along.
We're in an interesting spot at the moment where, we're about to start building a house. We just got the nod, we just got the approval on the loan, which is fantastic. The house is going to start building really soon. And the amount of work that I put in, which is, 70 odd hours a week, is working towards that goal. Now we know that's not going to be forever. This is just something we've got to do. We're going to get through this. We're going to come out the other side of it. Once the house is built, I'm already looking at the option of, pulling back a day, trying to find, and I feel, I feel that guilt. I feel bad enough now that I don't spend as much time with the kids and with the family as I'd like to.
Well, the day I asked for my wife to marry me, I think I was pretty busy. I think I was at work that day, and it was a birthday, and I got home, and she was sitting on the couch, and she goes, "So, have you organised dinner?" I went, "No, I haven't actually," because I'd just been thinking about, asking her to marry me all day, and it's a pretty difficult sort of a thing to think about, and she goes, "So have you organised dinner?" And I said, "No, I haven't," and she started crying. What's gone wrong here? And so I raced over and organised dinner, and I said, "Right, we've got a reservation for 7:30. She goes, "Good," and she walked off. Oh no, this is not starting well at all. So it was fairly icy in the car all the way to town. It was about 50 k's to town, and finally got to the restaurant, and she was sort of half a bit of a smile on her face. Then she started tuning me up. "So what have you been doing all day? Why did you get home early?" And I've just been busy at work, and so why didn't you make dinner reservations? Didn't you remember my birthday? And I said, "Geez, you're making this awful bloody hard, aren't you?" She goes, "Oh, hard for what?" And I said, "I'm trying to ask you to marry me." Yeah, trump card. First and last time, I think I've actually probably trumped her. Anyway, the rest is history.
Yeah, and normally she can see through, and I'm just sort of nodding my head and pretending to be present, but not really being present. So there's a lot I wish I knew before I was married, but one thing I would say is make time to to spend with your wife and without any distractions, and give her the love that you need with more than words.
When I was young, not everything was plain sailing. I was not very nice to my wife, but she never complained because she knew that I was tired or whatever. But what I didn't realise is that she was tired also, but she forgave me, and I think that's the only thing that kept our marriage together.
You know, I spend what time I can with. I probably don't cherish the time I spend with them enough, but again, that's another thing to work on. So it's been, it's been tough over the last few months, over the last few years, even with the delays on the house and that kind of thing. But my wife turned around, she pulled me up on it. Yeah, jump in.
You don't spend time with your kids, but I'll tell you what, your grandparents do.
Was that when I'm talking to Chris, I need to look her in the eye. I need to look at her and watch her response in her eyes, because her eyes tell me how she's feeling. Now, it's not always easy because sometimes I can't see her eyes. But when I can see her eyes, I know what she's feeling. Not always what she's thinking, but what she's feeling. And that helps me to know what I should be saying and how I should say it.
I've seen some marriages break up. I've been involved with musical theatre for probably 40 years, and I've had many theatre wives who are very good friends, but I've seen marriages being torn apart by somebody being on stage and having an affair in an acting field, thinking nothing of it, and then 3 or 4 months later their marriages and that are torn apart because of this affair that they've had on stage with another woman, and it's ridiculous. It's just not worth it. I've seen one guy, 3 kids, pulled apart, so I had to sell his business, so lost everything. It's just not worth it. People just don't work on their marriages anymore. They just find the easy way out, and a lot of places the kids just suffer so much. It's not the parents, it's the children.
Sometimes we get this picture that it's just marriage is going to be all just lovely feelings, and it's all about falling in love and that whole romance thing. It's the thing is, to make a marriage last, it's not just that, it's something deeper, and it takes commitment, it takes work, and it takes working through issues, and it's not always easy, but there's things you can just work through, and it will last, and it's worth it.
It's actually the tough times when love grows the strongest. Like, you might think, oh, the romantic, the awesome feelings are really nice. And that's true, but it's the times when I've really had to commit to my wife and say, I'm not going anywhere. This is really hard right now, but I am not leaving, when the bonds between us have just grown so much stronger.
I've just noticed in the last few years that I've been making my kids my priority, and because my wife is very independent, I haven't sort of focused on her and made courting an ongoing thing in our relationship. And it's just been easy to just sit back and not take that part serious.
Alright, so I had the challenge put to me by Michael to call my wife and tell her a few things that she may or may not know. I didn't think she knew all of these. I told my wife that I love her. She knows that. I tell my wife I love her every day. I told my wife that I think that she does an amazing job of raising our children. I'm not at home as much as I'd like to be, and she does an absolutely awesome job. And I told her that I appreciate that she supports all the dumb decisions that I make. They're not all dumb. Some of them are crazy, but she supports me in everything that I do. And I didn't think she knew all of that, and she just turned around to me and said that she said, "I know that you know that." So that was really just amazing.
We're driving down into the pit, down a long, very steep, winding road. We call it Never-Ending Road for some funny reason. And here's an old mate walking back up the hill. And I thought, geez, no one ever walks back up the hill. It's too bloody steep. I said, "You all right, mate?" Yeah. Geez, I've got to keep going. I said, "You all right, mate? Do you want to live somewhere? What's wrong?" And he goes, "Oh, geez, my wife's met my girlfriend and all my shit's on the lawn." I thought, you make $950 a week and you've got a girlfriend. You're an idiot. that you poor bastard.
Talk it out. You really need to talk to each other. Like, I'm the first to admit me and my wife don't talk as much as we probably should.
To persevere, today we find that males give up too easy in their marriages, and it's too easy to get out of a marriage. Stick at it, fight for your marriage, fight for your woman, and persevere with it, because there are rewards, and the rewards are that you get the diamonds on the inside.
So we're very fortunate that we're a very close family. Where a lot of families are just torn apart by ridiculous things, just things that somebody's said, or, you know, some people just really need to get a life.
My advice would be to stick with it. Talk to your partner. Don't keep secrets, and discuss things.
We were friends when we were married, and we still are now. Isn't that great?